Guys, it is time. It is Friday, and that means we're recording a podcast. I don't know what day it is for you when you're listening to this. It could be a Friday.
Could be a Monday.
It could also be any of the other 6 Mondays when we release them. Regardless, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. My name is Jesse. I am your host. With me is Ben Salazar, and with us in a moment will be Darius Giles. He texted me and said he's literally stuck on the toilet, and I said, you know what, we can't wait any longer. We have to start recording.
Because then he has to wipe, and that's another 20 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe we'll get him on at the very end. This is NewWayStories. This is a comedy podcast where we talk about creativity that makes the world a better place, hopefully. And then, as always, we end up talking about movies and comic books as well. And
it doesn't feel like a better place, Jesse.
Sometimes, all at the same time, we talk about those things. Can we get, before we get into, this is the words that you're always hoping to hear, but before we get into comic books and movies, can we get a little political first?
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
Throw it at me.
So yesterday was Juneteenth.
Okay.
Which is a national holiday.
Yeah.
Which is a day celebrating when the last slaves in America were told that they no longer have to be slaves. Can I just... I don't understand why people are offended by this holiday.
Neither am I, actually.
It's literally celebrating freedom, which is what America is about. They go, people are tyrants, and we don't like that, so we're going to not be under your rule anymore. And those people then got to be free from slavery, which is amazing.
And I would say that was a terrible idea overall. I preferred it the other way. The first way was definitely the best.
We were just talking about how yesterday was Juneteenth, and I don't understand how anybody in America really should be offended by this holiday, because
who's offended by it?
It's just you catch some things, because I don't know. I think people think that
you're offended. Are you trying to say you're offended by it? God,
I think that people think that it's like just celebrating black people, not necessarily like the abolishment of slavery. But so I don't know what it is, but regardless, we're celebrating that slavery isn't a thing in America anymore. That's pretty awesome, right?
I think it's pretty cool.
I just haven't seen anybody get offended by it. I couldn't imagine someone saying, "Ugh, can't believe we made Juneteenth a holiday." I can't imagine
out of
someone
all of the
giving
national
an
holidays,
eye roll.
Out of all the national holidays, this one I'm like, fine, you can make it a national holiday. Like, what are we doing on Labor Day? It's a worthless bank holiday. So I don't know. At Northtown we celebrated it. We gave away free black coffee.
That sounds really confusing, to be honest with you.
I don't think that would come across as what you think it wanted it to be.
Guys, they're free. And we're announcing that our black coffee is free.
But you're just handing out the black
coffees?
Yeah.
The use of they is really funny.
I did pitch it out. I said that to Kate. She's like, there's no way you can do that, right? You know that, right? She goes, I'm pretty sure you're joking, but you're not supposed to do that. I go, yeah, sure, I get it. But if you really think through it, it's really not bad, right? It's not like...
To be honest with you,
Oh, there we go.
Oh, he's frozen. Hey, he's back. He's back. Darius is back. Guess who's back? Back again.
I don't know exactly why they feel that way. I haven't been interested in it.
I think that
and I would just say again that I disagree. I think it's best to just celebrate slavery.
You go, let's just cut our losses completely, and we'll retract that. Anyway, I don't know.
What a weird start to the podcast.
Let's get on to... This is why we don't do political things, Ben. This is why I always tell you, don't make me talk about political things.
I didn't bring it up.
I'll tell you what. we're talking today about bucking the trends or not bucking the trends.
There are a lot
I
of
don't
trends
know.
recently I think are pretty stupid.
In creativity, we're talking creativity, not politics anymore.
Buck
so,
those bucking trends.
Whoa.
But first, I'm glad that Darius found his way back on, because a couple weeks ago we weren't able to talk about it last week because we had a guest on, which was amazing. I've got a signed comic book of his coming in the mail.
Oh, that's dope, dude.
Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
He was cool. It was really hard to not do an impression of him
Yeah.
to him the entire time we were on the podcast. He was really cool, though.
Yeah, that was a fun interview. Shout out to Nick. Ben and I were joking about it. This is a non-explicit podcast for the most part, and it was really kind of cool that he, like, you could tell the final third of the podcast he was more comfortable with us.
Yeah.
Swear words were starting to fly a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
And again, he's from Rhode Island. You know, that's like one of their filler words.
Yeah, totally. But I was like, I like that this guy's, feeling comfortable with us.
Yeah.
But for all future guests, we are technically not an explicit podcast.
Take off your shoes, put on your bathrobe, watch your mouth.
And,
That's how comfortable we want you to be.
So great interview. Check out his book. Check out that episode. But we went and saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the theater. Darius drove to Yaktown's finest, to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And I'd do it again. I'd kidnap 1,000 children to watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again.
Here's the thing, guys. We talk about how creativity makes the world a better place. And I think in all of these, like, talking about movies and connecting on these, like, fun things, building community is, like, the biggest cheat code, I think, on making the world a better place. And you can take whatever your interest is and build community. And watching a movie in theaters with other people, we were joking about it. Like, Russ, man, so we saw that this was there. I bought 8 tickets immediately and said, I'll fill these no matter what. And so it was us 3. It was Malia, Kate came, my brother and his wife, Kimber, and Ryan Anderson was there. And Darius, and that was the 8. And
that was rad.
So Russman was like, I noticed a lot of guys our age convinced their wives to come out to this.
Yeah, I saw them walking
out to this this movie, and I was like, yeah, it's what we did. Like, my wife had a splitting headache. Darius texted me and was like, hey, can you pick me up antacids on your way to the theater? Which is just a telling of how old we are, I think.
So many times through the movie, I would just hear.
What was that?
Dropping it into
Darius
the water.
had a very specific antacid request. Something with lime.
It's Alka-Seltzer.
Oh, Alka-Seltzer with lime.
Oh yeah, baby.
He's like, I feel like a tool for asking for this. But at Walgreens, there is an Alka-Seltzer with lime, and it tastes good.
Dude, when you have to drink, I have to drink probably an average, if you took all the times I have to take Alka-Seltzer, an average of 1 a day, maybe 1.25 a day. And when you have to drink that much, you want it to be a little tasty.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want it to be scrumptious.
But we got to see the movie in theaters with people, with our friends, and it was so much fun. It was it was literally so much fun. And this is the first time any of us had seen it in theaters because it came out in 1990.
I had never seen it in theaters before.
So I was born. Ben was still 7 years short of born.
I think my parents were in college.
Yeah. And so it was cool to look at it through a new lens of, like, literally being on the big screen. For me, a couple highlights on the positive. We'll go positives first. The kind of the soundtrack / the score,
dude,
it's super sick. Like, it's really good. Just the guitar, the electric guitar for Shredder, and just some of the, like, yeah, I don't know. It's a very like 80s, 90s sort of movie, but I'm like, man, this is
It's
great.
a very good score.
And then
it's a really cool score.
The writing, Darius and I were kind of talking about this. It is well written. You can make an argument that like some of the dialogue pieces or like some of the campiness, you're like, I don't know if that like works or whatever. But this is what they were intending, and it actually successfully tells a really good story about fathers and sons.
Oh,
and that's
dude,
the through line
good.
through the whole thing. And listen, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so you gotta wrap your mind around a little campiness. But like outside of that, I've always said I'm dying on the sword, man. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie, dude. It's a good movie, and not only is it a good movie, but if not everybody likes like Guardians of the Galaxy. There's some people, and it's just not their thing. I don't think I've met those people yet. I think everybody that I've ever talked to.
I generally don't hang out with communists, so.
Those are the kind of people that are trying to repeal Juneteenth. Not the holiday, the entire law. And I've never met somebody that doesn't like it, but I'm sure there are people. But if this movie like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the prototype that we needed for people like James Gunn to do what they do.
Yeah.
A very funny, silly movie with very intentional, silly moments in the midst of serious moments that still communicates like a heartfelt, touching thing. I would like the other person that whose name needs to be in that conversation is I always forget his stupid name, but the guy that makes movies with Ryan Reynolds.
Sean
we talked
Levy.
about him last week.
Yeah.
Sean Levy. Those guys couldn't do what they do if we didn't have movies that predated them, like TMNT.
Right.
What about Sam Raimi? Because I know he dips, but was he already kind of in?
Well, I mean, he made movies before.
Yeah, that's what I was.
sure.
Yeah, that's what I was. So was
I
he
would
like?
say, frankly, the
He was like
difference is-
82.
Okay, so he's been around.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think Sam Raimi Sam Raimi definitely belongs in that influential category.
Yeah.
But I don't think Evil Dead was a movie that had like a serious, heartfelt message as much as like Spider-Man did.
I think it influenced, like, Evil Dead influenced filmmakers. More than like your general public, right?
Do you think? Would you say an early pioneer?
Yeah, I would say that. He was definitely an early pioneer of low budget horror.
With some camp.
Love
I
it.
do think that's the camp in there on purpose.
So Malia, this is probably her second time watching it. I made her watch it a couple years ago, and she didn't believe me that this is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
because I had a little DVD 2-pack my parents got me with both 1 and 2, and so I put that on a lot as a kid, and so like I don't know. It just never got brought up in our relationship that I was a huge fan. I mean, I would say I would be a huge fan of the Turtles, but like how much I freaking love these movies.
Yeah.
One more than the second one. The second one,
Listen, I love the second one. The Secret of the Ooze has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Toko and Razor. And
why wasn't it Bebop and Rocksteady?
I don't know. It's a weird. Yeah, I agree. Maybe they couldn't get like those licensed. But you got Vanilla Ice in there, and they go, all right, we kidnapped these like the fiercest animals, a snapping turtle and a baby wolf, or they didn't know it was a baby until they get the mutants in the baby. That's a line that Kate and I quote quite frequently. But it's definitely not as good of a movie, but so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. And
opening
Ernie
fight's
Reyes Jr.
Dude, Kino, yeah,
so good. I would say that, like you just said, Ben. I would say the action and choreography in the second one overall is better.
Yeah, I remember there are a lot of what was it? They were in like it's been a while, like a food, and he was using like freaking salamis or not salamis.
It's combat cold cuts.
Mustard.
Yeah.
Combat cold cuts.
But like, so we watched it. This is probably Malia's second time watching it, and she was in a weird mood, and I was like, she's already not gonna like it Because if you know what I mean, like if you're okay with the movie,
going into a movie, yeah.
I don't say my wife is in a weird mood ever, but I've been married for 14 years, so that's a lesson you'll learn.
No, I even said it. I said it to you. I was like, she's in a weird mood. I don't think she's gonna like this movie. And then she was like freaking dying laughing with the rest of us, and she was had a fun time.
Really
Love
cool.
that.
I hope it's because we were all together. If I put this on at home, and
it's maybe a different story.
It's a different story.
It's a communal experience, right? Where you're having fun. And this is slight negatives here, is that, you know, Russell's wife, Kimber, had never seen it. Ryan Anderson had never seen it. Shame on you, Ryan. But you righted the wrong. And so when you see it in a communal experience, you all of a sudden then pick up on stuff that, like, I have, you know, I've watched this movie so many times. I have every line memorized, essentially. And then when they're coming through,
stuff surprises you.
Yeah, I know, you're just like, Splinter. I was like, ooh, yeah, that's maybe not a great line reading, but I get the point, you know.
Because they're 15-year-olds.
Yeah, right. Or, you know, Raph being super whiny coming out of the tub or whatever. What's a guy got to do to get some food around here? You're like,
I like that line. I like that line.
I don't mind that. I don't mind the line. It's Raph's like coming out of the tub. I don't know. It's like a weird. I get it. He's supposed to be. He's supposed to be weak, but it just is like whiny.
But you know what?
So the line to me, that line. This is really boring for the listeners. That line to me, though, that line reads sarcastic to me.
Yeah.
That Leo's hugging him, and he's like, Leo.
Yeah.
What's a guy gotta do to get some food around here? And so, but there are other lines though, other parts of the movie where watching it with a first timer next to me, I was like, okay, yeah, that's cringy.
And here's the last thing.
I also was at the point where I was gonna stab Ryan Anderson with a sigh if he laughed at one more serious moment.
Dude,
right in his eye hole.
I just met a guy named
Love
Sai.
you, Ryan. Just kidding. A dope name.
That's Gangnam Style.
So that's what he said he gets a lot, right?
Yeah.
His name is S.I. Sai, and I was like, okay. I was like, or, you know, the martial arts weapon that Raphael uses. I was like, I'm sure you've gotten that before. He's like, what is it? I've never heard of that before. I was like, no one's mentioned aside. I was like, dude, this is a sick weapon. You should definitely talk about that more than Gangnam Style.
You should carry one around.
Oh yeah,
that's a good point. I mean, just like point to it at his waist, Raphael style. Dude, the Raphael Casey Jones, and we'll get off in Ninja Turtles.
Best.
That intro is so good. Like,
it's great,
and it ends with like, oh my gosh, that killer
so
line.
So long, freak! I got work to do.
But the freaking cab driver when they're chasing each other,
dude. When he's in New York, it doesn't matter. He's seen everything.
Yeah,
was that a giant turtle in a trench coat?
You go, what the heck was that? Looked like some sort of turtle in a trench coat. Going to LaGuardia, right?
It's so good. Anyone who hasn't seen it, go watch it.
Like Ben
and if
said.
it's in theaters, definitely watch it in theaters. So I don't know, man. It was just so much fun to hang out with you guys and everybody else, you know, watching it together. And we ran into the Gumbletons, which Darius and I was like youth leaders growing up. That was a ton of fun.
I also wait. Last thing. Ryan Anderson took a picture of us while we were talking outside.
Oh,
and I had the fun. He said New Way in real life, and then I had, and then I asked ChatGPT to turn it into an 80s kung fu movie, and here we are.
Oh.
It's pretty awesome.
That's not bad. That is pretty not awesome. Bad.
The great thing that they did is the mannerisms of the way that we're standing look perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Although my character looks just way too like aloof. I don't know. I'm just like standing there. All right. So bucking the trends.
Shout
that
out to
sick.
That's a. And then this is, I don't know. So we'll get off this.
It's good, man. I think you need to post that.
Okay, I'll post it.
You do. Shout out to Ryan for taking that picture.
Yeah.
I never take pictures of things. It's actually a really big deal to have friends that just like take candid pictures.
Yeah,
that's a massive
that's a
gift.
fun. That's a fun like picture.
Love you, Ryan. Not just because I was being mean
man.
to you earlier about laughing at the serious parts of my favorite film. I still hold to those previous statements. I will stab you with a sigh.
Well, and we'd expect nothing less. This is New Way Stories after all. All right, guys, we're talking today beyond Juneteenth, beyond Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're talking about trends.
You mentioned it. I was going to cut it out.
We're talking about trends in creativity in film. Ben,
what's up?
You had, you're on the chat boards. You're on the subreddits, making sure everyone is pumped about the James Gunn Superman.
And that they're not celebrating Juneteenth.
Exactly. Ben's got 2 screens open.
Why is it called Juneteenth?
Coming against Zack Snyder, coming against Juneteenth.
Why is it called Juneteenth?
It happens on a 10th day and in June.
Let's rework the name. Let's rework the name, and then we'll go bigger next time.
There might be some sort of significance to it, but sometimes you just lack creativity in naming stuff. I was in trivia, and it was a picture of birds. You had to name the birds, and there's this bird in Yakima that it's a black bird, and it has this like bright red patch on its wing, and it has a really cool song. It's like one of my favorite birds, but nobody got it, and I go, you guys are all gonna hate yourself for this because this is called a red-winged blackbird. And sometimes, sometimes scientists are like, I don't know, man. It's a red-winged blackbird, okay? Yeah. That's a legless lizard.
I don't want to be too boring on this, but there's actually a lot of great sociological study about why under-resourced communities or lower income or lower class, quote-unquote, communities develop unique language. And it's just a part of like human behavior that when you're a community that doesn't have social power, you find power in words. And like this is very obvious to us. We have most of the words that Gen Z thinks that they're coming up. I'm so tired of hearing Gen Z kids say, that's Gen Z slang. I'm like, no, it's not. You stole it from black people, you little jerks. And it's like most of the most creative like new words that become part of the American vernacular come from lower income communities with no social power, and the black community has contributed the lion's share of that.
Sure.
Over the last couple centuries, and that's why we get things like Juneteenth. Frankly, is because the communities with no social power, like by and large, a large portion of the black community over the last 200 years, they come up with pithy, witty, catchy ways to name and say things and their own words because they don't have social power. So verbal power becomes really important to them. So Juneteenth is, if you've ever lived in a black neighborhood, Juneteenth sounds exactly like it is what it should be. Like it's some people that like took a couple words and smash them together in a catchy way so that they could create language that was meaningful to them that no one else created for them. So,
yeah, you're right. So
for
some
those
places,
of you who like sociology,
some people do refer to it as Emancipation Day or Freedom Day, but Juneteenth stuck because it's unique to the Black Texas community.
Boom. There you go. Which those are the group of slaves that were in Texas, right? Those are the last ones. Which, anyway, that's...
Let's get back.
I hate rushing through this. Darius, let me stop you there. We're talking about Superman Legacy.
No, I'm done. I just think it was one of those things that like keyed me in because it is.
It's a super interesting. Yeah, it is super interesting, and like
words
with what
are cool,
you're,
dude.
With what you're saying, it actually does honor the people that we're supposed to be celebrating too. So, all right, Ben. What's out there on the subreddits that are that relate to Superman Legacy? I mean,
so there have been a lot of promotion, a lot of trailers, and a lot of new shots that have been coming out.
Is it too late for them to CGI David Cornsweet to be African American?
It's never too late.
Never too late.
It's never too late.
Too late for now.
Yeah.
30 Rock.
Sorry, Ben. I'm so sorry.
No, you're great. So there have been a couple shots of Mr. Cornsweet. Kind of in his action flying,
That's a terrible name, by the way.
It's not great.
Juneteenth, good name. Cornsweet, not a good name.
Not a good name. Not a
You
good
could
name.
have chosen anything.
Yeah. David Corn or David Sweat, but together.
Then you reach out and go, well, his family were corn farmers, okay? And it takes a lot of hard work to grow the thing that drives America.
Yeah, exactly.
Corn sweat.
So there's been a couple shots. I don't know if you guys have seen them of him flying, and James Gunn has been using this type of wide lens a lot. It started in Guardians 3, used it more in the Suicide Squad, and then you're seeing it used more in the Superman. It's actually they dropped the Legacy, but it's okay because it helps you differentiate between the name is not. It's just Superman.
It's now just Superman.
Yeah. He dropped the Legacy.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I saw people saying that. I saw not like talking about it, but I just saw people posting like, can't wait for Superman. And I'm like, oh, it's weird that people aren't calling it its correct name.
Yeah.
They're so excited about it. I didn't realize they changed the name. That's
made it official.
Odd.
Yeah, because technically the one from the 70s is Superman the movie. So he's like, oh, well, this one.
That's funny.
Just call it Superman.
Just call it Superman. Anyways, there's a couple shots, and so it's been that look a little weird with this kind of wide lens, especially in the flying poses where it kind of like his eyes look a little
fish eyes, everything.
Yeah. So it was being used as ammunition against what we've been dubbed as I wouldn't even call myself I'm a James Gunn
Gunner.
A gun bot.
A gun bot.
Yeah, gun bot.
I like Gunner.
Gunner's pretty good.
I also like Gunner. I'll also take Gunnigan.
Yeah.
Or Gunter.
Island. I'll take Gunter. I'll take Gugs Gunny. I will take
Gunner. I barely know her.
I'll take
Fan club.
I'll take Goodwill Gunting.
Nice.
I'll take any of those.
Yeah. Any of those are great. So I'll been used.
Here Comes the Gun by the Beatles.
Yeah. Here comes the gun. Do.
It's the American rewrite.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been used as like, hey, look at your dumb Superman movie that you like.
Yeah.
Look at how bad this looks. And then Derry sent some comments last week of people sending back Cavill with the CGI'd mustache on. I'm like, oh, is this your guy?
Honestly, this
so
whole
funny.
like Snyder like fans, they have no leg to stand on.
No.
They're like, oh, this movie is gonna suck. You're like, maybe, but like, you can't point to your movie and say, I wish they did more like this.
Yeah. Either way,
it has to literally be. It has to literally be like we talk about a lot. It has to be a group of young adults that grew up with Man of Steel.
Yep.
So
Because it came out in 2008. So if you're 5
2013.
years old,
13, yeah.
born in 2000. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I said that.
If you were
So,
born
I mean,
in 2008, you'd be 5 when Man of Steel came out.
So I mean, but then if you're born in 2008, you're still barely 17. But still, I mean,
it's
let's
a
say you're born in
17-year-old.
2003.
Yeah.
Let's say you're born in 2003, right? Whatever. I definitely think this is like people, and I try not to be too mean to them, although I really want to make fun of them, and I have a little bit. Honestly, I have a little bit on Threads. There's a guy that keeps commenting back to me, and I keep just telling him, "Good job, I'm so proud of you, little guy," and he gets more and more angry every time. Every time he insults me, and his name is Trevor. Which is my
That's so
middle name.
perfect.
And I was like, man, way to go, little Trev. You really showed him what's what. And he was like, your name's also Trevor. Project much? And I said, you completely caught me, Trev Jr. I can't believe how proud I am of you. You're all grown up. Keeping on, man. And he just gets more and more angry. So I got to stop trolling this kid. But I have to like remind myself, I do think it's just like, it's their childhood. And they understand how to let it go.
So I think I watched the video. They were discussing this in the shot. So it's kind of, I think James is like utilizing this new equipment, or even just to like make his movie different and unique than other Superman movies and other just like comic book movies. To like a lot of these shots that were being critiqued are very smooth. You see everything, which it can look a little jarring sometimes when there isn't these hard cuts, shaky cams. It's just a smooth flight scene of him going across the screen. And so I think you have these kids that grew up with it, or even like, I don't know, I'm not like the millennials, early 2000s, all these action movies, even they're comic movies, desaturated, gritty, realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And now in 2025, we're getting Superman and Fantastic Four, these retro, colorful movies that actually have personality, which is nice for once.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan's not going to direct every sci-fi movie. You just have to, like, some people have to just like understand Christopher Nolan primarily does not direct sci-fi movies. and he has directed a couple sci-fi movies. Mostly that's not what he does. He's
I actually
not
would say that
every sci-fi movie for you.
I would actually make the argument that Chris Nolan has directed a few not sci-fi movies. Everything else is a little bit. Everything has a sci-fi trend to it, but in how he directs those movies, it's not a typical sci-fi movie, right?
That's fair, because even in Dark Knight, there's sci-fi.
Yeah, you have a vigilante with cool gadgets.
Well, you have all the
technology,
gadgets. Yeah, fair enough. And in Memento's
Memento,
could be considered
Memento
sci-fi.
and The Following, I think, are the only ones that you could say are not sci-fi.
No,
Right?
Dunkirk's
Dark Knight.
not sci-fi.
Oh, I forgot
Dunkirk's
about
not sci-fi.
Dunkirk, but Tenet, Prestige, Interstellar.
Oppenheimer sci-fi. All that stuff never happened. It's made up.
Good point. All right, I forgot about half of these. So he goes half and half.
There's also the boring one that he made about. Oh no, that's Dunkirk. I thought there was another war one he made. Maybe not.
No,
yeah.
Dunkirk. What was the Leonardo DiCaprio? Inception.
That's sci-fi.
Yeah, Inception
I
is a
agree.
little bit sci-fi.
It's-
Could be considered sci-fi.
Okay, so wait, did you have more?
Modern realism.
So I think we're entering in a new era. I think we're shifting into a new type of action movies. Most importantly, new type of comic book movies, and you're getting a little pushback from this new trend.
Well, can I tell you this is that? Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. It's a new trend, or you're trying something new. And Ben and I were trying to come up with a word, but when you have a trend, and what is frustrating about it is the superhero movies. Even Thunderbolts, right? Thunderbolts was a fun movie. It was good. It was better than the previous 9 superhero movies that had come out. It was still in the MCU. When did Guardians first come out?
2014.
So every movie after Guardians was made in the Guardians style.
Yep.
From 2014 to Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Everyone
what
tried to copy.
That's what we've been trained to in our superhero movies now, right? And for the first 5 or 6 years, you love it. You don't want to see anything else. That's why Thor did such a hard shift from Thor 2 to Thor Ragnarok. It's a completely different movie.
Or why Suicide Squad, in the middle of filming and editing, totally shifted tones and ended up being the worst movie.
So you have trends that when you're used to it, and then the first one that you have. Think about your a band that you like when they release a new album and they're trying something new, right? You're what are you doing? This is not what I signed up for, right? This is not the Fall Out Boy I remember.
Yeah. I came in with a haven't you people ever heard of shutting your gosh dang mouth.
Oh, that's Panic at the Disco.
No, but it works.
Is it really Panic at the Disco?
It is Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, but
I was never an emo boy.
New Panic also sucks. Why aren't you 21 and complaining still? But Kate and I were really big into Bastille forever ago, and every time they came out with a new album, the first listen, you're like, boy, this just isn't as good. And then you keep listening to it, and you're like, actually, no, this is really, really good. It just doesn't sound exactly like the previous album, the thing that I'm used to. And so when something new happens, it goes against what your mind has been trained. Have you ever picked up a soda and thought that, or water, and thought that you were drinking water, but you actually picked up a Sprite or something like that?
It's a seltzer water.
Right, yeah. These are all things that are actually taste good, but when your mind is made up on something and you taste it, you go, oh, what the heck is this? You go, that's Sprite. You drink 32 ounces of that every day. So I'm just talking to my old self. Yeah. But it's water, and you also drink that sometimes too, So, yeah, when you change a trend, there is pushback.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like you said, this is what is happening. Now, ironically, I think, and we'll see what happens with the Superman movie, but I think James Gunn has been this guy that with Guardians of the Galaxy, I think he did something, and this is where kind of the whole bucking the trend or not, depending on what you want to do, comes into play here when you're talking about creativity. he made a superhero movie that was pretty close to like the Avengers, right? The 2012 Avengers. Joss Whedon. It was fun adventure with humor. But then I would make the argument that Guardians did that element better, right?
Much
like
better.
The camaraderie, the witty dialogue.
We just watched the whole trilogy. It's phenomenal. It's so great.
Yeah. And so, but we were ready for it, right? Like Avengers primed us for Guardians, and then and think about too for DC, what your mind has been led to believe for DC. It is the Zack Snyder like style, the super dark, like who just did The Flash. The Flash tried to be like funny and witty, but it's like a dark movie the whole time. You know what I mean?
It's just kind of already established. It's so crazy. I've been seeing so many, like a lot of the responses to these Snyder fans. It's like when they complain stuff about Superman, like when he makes a little, hey buddy, eyes up here. And then people are complaining. And there's a couple other lines in the trailer. And they're like, I think these people just have never read a Superman comic.
I was going to say,
or like they just don't know who Superman is. For 90
years, Superman is not dark and gritty. Like
no, he has a personality. He's fun. He's charming. He's humble. Like
Clark Kent from Smallville.
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah. I don't think that I think one of the reasons I sent those screenshots of those really funny comments, it's most of which we can't post because there were lots of foul language in them that I wouldn't want to like show people in mass necessarily. And I used a lot of really terrible foul language because on Threads, man, I just I'm a different guy.
Darius lets it go.
That's a joke.
Driscoll style.
Dude, that's so real. Like
that's like what he got in trouble for.
Remember that he had a pen name.
Yeah.
He called himself William Wallace, and he went on to the forums of his own church online community, and he like cursed people out and used derogatory, inflammatory language
that's just
to like argue with
that
people.
Is somebody who is burnt out from ministry.
Never, please.
You could say that. Yeah, you could.
Please don't ever forget that happened.
I
still love Mark. I love Mark. Just please, let's not ever forget that happened. That's hilarious. Love you, Mark. I don't have to work
time
with you.
Equals hilarity.
I don't have to work with you, which makes it easier to love you. But man, I don't think that the mass amount of people is like not excited for the Superman movie. I think there are like a vocal minority of people who are Snyder fans, and they're going around and commenting on everything and posting everything because they feel frustrated, and it's a waste of time. But that's why I showed you those comments, because like every comment on the entire thing, with the exception of like 2 out of the 100 comments that I read, were like making fun of the original poster, who was. Oh, sorry.
I think you get the idea.
If he's recording audio on his end, it's fine.
Oh,
and the audio will be fine. Yeah. The internet is insane here right now.
Yeah. Wow.
So insane.
I couldn't agree more.
You broke up for the last like 35 seconds, but we're hoping that you are recording on your end.
I've just been saying how much I hate Jesse and Ben straight into my microphone.
So here. Okay, I do think that this is an interesting, and we're gonna wrap this up in the last 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. This I think is an interesting thing on trends and bucking the trends, because I think as a creative or like someone who is wanting to move forward, you want to create something new, right? You want to create something original, but I think this is also how I view it. Is I look at through the lens of both like creativity and commercial success. And if you're trying to be somebody who makes money as a creative, you do have to have some sort of level of commercial success, right? And I think it's very hard to have commercial success while not hitting any of the trends. So, and I want to kind of go into just a few like decades of movies and kind of what the trends were. So in the 60s, we got like counterculture is kind of the big thing. Vietnam is happening, and you're seeing social unrest.
Racism is happening.
Well, it's always been happening, but there's
more predominantly in the
more of a push. So we got the trends there are French New Wave films, but the U.S. counterculture, the Easy Rider sort of anti-heroes. You've got your the start of like Clint Eastwood. I think Deliverance was early 70s. But this is that start of the counterculture is that you can go across the America on your motorcycle and sell drugs. And we can make a movie about that whether
Call
it's
that being a youth pastor.
whether it's glorifying it or not, but that can be the main subject of a movie. That's not something that you saw in the 50s, right?
No.
Or the 40s. It's that you made movies about people that you could glorify and kind of ironically like gangster films and noir films of the 40s. You're allowed to do that because we like still romanticize those like the gangsters because they're like white class or white collar sort of criminals. Anyway, so you kind of got that in the 70s. Then you got like way grittier. Then you also had people who were now grown up on people who love movies. So the 70s, you started to see people who love movies starting to make movies, right?
Yeah.
In the 30s, 40s, 50s, these people never grew up on movies,
figuring
right?
it out.
They were they were just like literally like stage directors trying to figure out how to make a movie.
Yeah.
Which is why by and large most 30s movies kind of suck because it's just honestly like filming a stage play.
A play. Yeah.
It suck as in
compared
to film
today.
Yeah, to using and that also is a thing.
That's us. We didn't.
That is a thing. Is that it's when I say, hey, you should watch King Kong from 1933 because it's freaking incredible. It is, but people aren't used to black and white. They aren't used to clay molds of like stop motion monsters.
Yeah.
But if you can overlook that stuff or get over it, it's a great movie. So 70s, keep going.
I remember I was in a play in I did like a lot of plays when I was in junior high school with it was like in one all the time, like every 3 months, like in a new play for I don't know, a year or two. And the school like drama director, Mr. Obermiller, one time was like, "Hey, dude, you have to speak up. This isn't a movie. We're doing a play." He was like one day, if you're lucky enough to be a film actor, like what you're doing is not bad. You could do that to a camera. He goes, but for this, you've really got to like really oversell it because they can only see 30% of what you do. So in order for them to like actually feel anything, it's got to be 300% of what you think natural is. And so that's like the 30s movies. The 30s movies. It's like they have to be. Dude, they think the camera is like the audience.
I love Jack Lemmon. He's like
just wanted to talk about how much acting I did.
Yeah. So Jack Lemmon is an old actor, 50s and 60s, and he does the over the top style acting, right? Like, and he's hilarious, and he's got some other movies that are not like that. But then I watched him in Glengarry Glen Ross in the 90s, and he's not. Like he's making a choice. This is how you can tell he's like a real actor, right? Like these are just choices that he's making. He crushes it as a desperate salesman in Glengarry Glen Ross in the 90s. Not in the over top way that he like is famous for. Okay. In the 1980s, high concept and escapism, right? We had flashy visuals, stylized editing, and then you saw a boom in action heroes, teen comedies, and the sci-fi fantasy boom. So it's a clear good versus evil, underdog victories, family-friendly franchises. Here's an interesting thing about the 80s is you have kind of the height of consumerism and I would say like capitalism on the bad ends is represented in the 80s, and then you also get like the not depression. What is the word called?
Recession.
Thank you.
Recession.
There was like the 80s recession. So you have people who are going so hard into making money and trying to get back to suburbia, and you have to make it for your family to have a successful life, and then the recession happens and it's all bad, right? And so you have you're idolizing the Schwarzeneggers and fake bodies and steroids, and so these movies are huge. But then also the like fantasy and sci-fi, this escapism, like you don't, and we're kind of seeing this too with like AI, like and like mental health stuff, like
dude,
you don't want to experience what is in the real world, and so we like are the movies that we like, and this is honestly probably why the superhero trend has lasted for so bleeping long, is like we just we want something outside of our norm.
Dude, two things. One, me and Brittany watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids last night. Oh, we watched the first half. We're going to finish it tonight. It's insane how spot on all of that stuff about the 80s you said is. The movie starts with a mom and a dad who have a fight, and they like separate for the night. And the whole fight is about like Rick Moranis doesn't make enough money. His wife has to sell houses. And he's like, unless I make this invention. And it's so funny too, because like how dated that is. Because I'm like, oh, well, today, if those parents made what they made in the 80s, like comparatively today, they'd be living in a 1-bedroom apartment with their kids, but they still own a home. But it's also crazy, like in 1989, how much the world looks exactly like the world of the 50s. Yeah. Just the social issues are slightly different. It's essentially like you said, they're like just trying so hard to figure out if they can like get that rubber band to snap back to 1955. And they can't do it.
Amazing. And then if you want to like look into it even further, like that whole movie is about them trying to, the underlying issue is the finances. And I was not expecting to psychoanalyze Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Okay.
And this is why we do it, guys. This is why we do New Way Stories. You have the underlying issue of the finances, right? Which is like literally about to like tear their family apart, right? So, and which is saying, right? This is also the mindset. If we don't have money, our family's going to fall apart. That's the basic philosophy of the 80s and probably consumerism going forward. And then you have kids who are just trying to be kids. They're trying to get through their family dynamics. And both the neighbors are completely different. They're all white, but they're completely different. And then they have to come together, right? They go, hey, we got to like...
To be fair, the demographics in 1989 of the country were also...
But it's like nerdy versus outdoorsy. Computer science versus jock, right? That's those are the stereotypes we're pitting each other up against. But they go
totally.
The parents connect with each other over the idea that we have to find our kids. Both sets of parents are failing to connect with their kids before the shrinking happens, right? And so now they come together because they have to find their kids. They have to find a way to connect with their kids. And then the kids get shrunk and get taken out, and all they have to do is cross the yard. All they have to do is cross the yard, and they have to, ride an ant and cross all of these like mudslides. The sprinkler comes on, all these things. Literally, all they're doing is trying to figure out how to find their way home. And if you blow that up, right? You get the micro version of that. If you blow that up, and this is why the other movies don't really work, because this one actually has the through line of what we were talking about with the Turtles. All the kids are trying to do is navigate their home life and the relationships with each other, and literally they're trying to go 10 yards as shrunken people. Yeah.
That's not even 10.
Not
yards.
even that, right?
Yeah.
They're just trying to figure it out. And it's literally a life and death situation for teenagers while the parents are trying so desperately to find them, and they never will because they can't get out of their own heads. What a good movie, man. What a good freaking movie.
I had a feeling we were going to get somewhere good if I just brought up Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I mean, that's all it takes.
I didn't own that
That's
movie
all
as a
it
kid,
takes.
But I knew that you were a Honey, I Shrunk trilogy aficionado. So anyway, all I meant to say was it's crazy. Like you're saying, the trends. The funny thing about the family trend is in the 80s, it's let's keep the family together. Yeah. In the 90s, it's let's navigate divorce. And in the 2000s, I would say it's like an overflow of that. And then from the mid 2000s to now, it's I would say in the 90s, it's let's navigate divorce. In the 2000s, it's let's figure out what to do with abandonment. And in the 2020s, in 2010s, it's how do we deal with trauma? And so it is like this trend of like, what does the family unit of America need? It needed to stay together. It needed to navigate divorce. It needed to figure out abandonment. It needs to figure out trauma. And so you're just like watching it, like these people trying to figure it out through storytelling is cool.
So I wasn't expecting to go on that tangent, but I really think that it ultimately got us. No. Listen, it ultimately got us to a place that I enjoy, but I do want to put a bow on this conversation of
bow it up.
I think that when you're thinking about creativity and you're thinking about trends, I do think that you are screwed a little bit if you're like, I'm not going to make something with the trends. You go, well, your experiences, like what Darius was saying, like the movies that persist, the stories that persist, kind of like all line up with kind of the collective thinking of how are we going to get through this. I remember as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, I started thinking pretty differently from my parents, especially when it came to like theology and stuff. And I thought, boy, I'm such like a unique Christian, how I like am looking at these things and I'm doing it so differently. And then all of a sudden, like 3 years later, you see other people who are like more successful than me pop up and they're speaking my language. They're literally saying everything that I'm thinking. And so it's like, oh, okay, there must be something in the water, right? There's something happening culturally that we have an experience with that produces kind of, it's not a coincidence that all of a sudden pastors my age, for the most part, think very similarly in a lot of different issues. Obviously, there's nuances and stuff. But I think that you make the stuff, like your experiences and the culture that surrounds you, like exudes from you, right? The 50s and 60s, like the 50s with the fear of the Cold War and the fear of like nukes, like that was permeating so much, like that a movie like Invasion of the Body Snatchers got so famous, right? Mm. You're like, how is this movie so famous? Well, it's like you think a communist is around every corner.
Everyone,
and you think, you think the Red Scare is going to literally take the neighbors that you know and love and turn them into something evil. That's why that movie is incredible, because everybody saw something, and whether they thought they were writing that movie or not, that's what they were writing. You know what I mean?
Jokes on them. All of the Russian spies ended up working at our universities.
Dude,
they were never at their neighbor's house.
I just read this book. It made me laugh so hard. It's a historical fiction, The Briars Club. Good author. Kate Quinn, female author. Guys, I'm pretty awesome. I read female authors.
Okay.
Oh, did I mention that?
Women supporting women.
I actually have a black author in next that I'm reading. I do try to read different authors. Anyway, she does really great.
Most of the stuff I read is written by
the Lord. You go. Everything that I read is
the Bible,
divinely inspired.
Not Arabic. Semitic.
I was going to make a joke, but I decided not to.
Probably a good call.
Anyway.
Sorry. You read a book by Kate.
There was like this deep Russian spy network where they literally like made these people live in fake American towns for like 2 years and there was everything that you can think of that might happen in like small town America, they simulated, right? And then they put you in, just to live American lives. And they go, if you hear of anything, let us know. And so many of those spies got to America and were like, this
just
actually is pretty good. So they like changed their name and like just kind of disappeared into America. Yeah. They're like, I actually really like the family that I built, and I don't think I want to give you secrets. Like, I thought Mother Russia was the answer.
Dear superior comrade, America has many evils we must overthrow. When it comes to their cheap produce and their well-made cars, they cannot be more evil and destitute. We will have to stop them from spreading all of the love of their nuclear families. Somehow we will find a way to do it. They also have these disgusting things called fast food that trick you with their enticing and tempting deliciousness. I think maybe we should try some of these in Russia.
You have to.
Maybe we'll make...
It's the cost of being a spy. You have to try it. This new thing, McDonald's.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that you have to be within the trends a little bit if you want commercial success, but I think that you can bring something new to the table, like James Gunn. He did something that was somewhat in the trends of what the MCU had set up, but he started something new with witty dialogue and I would say even elevating the characters a little bit more. Tarantino, the same way. He's a guy who loved 70s cinema, and you can see it in his movies. And he was in the trend of 90s indie films, right? Like, he is just like Ben Affleck, right? They maybe ended up in different places, but in that same era, Ben Affleck and Tarantino are making sick indie films that have a similar style, even if they're completely different, if that makes sense. But inside of that, Tarantino started a new trend of incredible dialogue, like scenes driven by incredible dialogue. No movies before Tarantino were doing the level of dialogue that he was doing. But that doesn't mean
That's insane.
Like, Pulp Fiction it was something completely new, but it wasn't something completely new. Does that make sense? Like, it was enough.
Well, it's literally called Pulp Fiction.
Right.
It's literally
it was enough,
a take on Pulp Fiction.
It was enough that it was palatable for us, but he introduced something completely new. And I think that's the tension we got to live in, guys, as creatives.
I'm not even going to press the button. I'm just going to
I think that you have to create something. If you're looking for commercial success, if you don't want commercial success, if you just want to create something, you want to put it on a wall that like 8 people see, like, go for it. You do
upload it to Spotify for 50 people to listen to.
I'm not here to bash that. We do it every week. I
think there's just something to be.
No, you have to create something that's palatable, but you have to push the trends a little bit. You have to shirk the trends, buck them, if you will.
Buck them with the buck.
Ben, jeez, man.
Well, if the other guy got to do it, why can't I do it?
Ben, get the buck out of here. Right? Am I right, Jess?
Darius, so hilarious.
Right, yes.
Darius the hilarious.
Ben, really, Ben really bucked that one up. So sorry, Ben.
Well, you guys.
So good.
What?
Any last thoughts? I only got one thought.
No.
This guy knows where Splinter is. I wasn't planning on doing a TMNT quote, but that's
you got to point with the sword. This guy knows where Splinter is.
Okay, final critique. I do wish that, like, Leo just like runs and dives at him. I'm like, that's not a move.
Crazy.
That a trained ninja would try.
You can't start with a finisher. That's a finisher, bro. You can't just open up with a finisher.
I'm totally fine with them getting beat, through that whole thing. And there's some clips where there's like some good back and forth, but I want that for all of them. Like, all right, we're gonna go good back and forth, and then Shredder comes on top. Anyway, hey guys, thanks for listening to New Way Stories. It was a blast today. Go watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Go watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
A little rough for the start, but thanks for sticking with us. Yeah,
I mean, this is how we weed out all the racists. If you're with us, if you're with us still,
Dad, I'm just kidding.
You know where you stand. Like, subscribe. We keep getting those subscribers like 1 week at a time. 1 subscriber 1 week. That's our new And in 4 or 5 years, we will be at a pretty sweet place. So keep subscribing, keep liking, keep telling your friends about us, guys. We really enjoy doing this, and we appreciate that you listen. You can write into the pod, NewWayStoriesPod at gmail.com.